The U.S. Postal Service is the backbone of American commerce. Our next guest is leading the charge to fix problems that most people aren't even aware exist. Joining us now to break it down is Kentucky Congressman James Comer. Congressman, great to have you back on. Most Americans rely on the Postal Service in some way every single day, at least every single week. You could save the American taxpayers millions and millions of dollars. What's going on here?
Yeah, actually billions of dollars.
Even better.
I don't think each person can imagine how much money the Postal Service has been hemorrhaging over the last decade. We've all seen a decline in the performance of the post office. President Trump appointed a postmaster general named Louis DeJoy. He was in the news a lot because he came from the private sector, and he immediately took the bull by the horns. He went in and he made some pretty dramatic reforms. A lot of the Democrats on Capitol Hill said this would be the demise of the post office, and they had all sorts of skits and sound bites talking about wanting Louis DeJoy's head on a platter and all this. Fast forward to today, a year later, these reforms are working. They're working. The unions, which are, have been overwhelmingly Democrat, the postal union, there are about 4 main postal unions, they support Louis DeJoy's reforms. So we have a bill, a bipartisan bill, to codify these reforms, to make sure that whoever Postmaster General is in the future, they can't change these cost savings measures.
Right.
And we're trying to make it sustainable, not only improve the performance, but make it sustainable to where Congress doesn't have to come in and constantly bail out the U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah, I mean, how about this? I love it. Saving the U.S. taxpayers up to, the estimate is $50 billion. So a serious chunk of change. You are the leading Republican on oversight, and what you're trying to do and what you've been trying to do with your committee for a long time is hugely important, especially as these genocide games play out just north of Wuhan in Beijing. The Oversight Committee wants the scientists who originally warned Dr. Fauci that COVID came from a lab to testify. Could this happen even in a Democratic Congress?
Well, I strongly encourage these scientists to come and testify before the House Oversight Committee, even if it's just a Republican roundtable, because we need to be transparent about what went on in the early days of COVID-19. These scientists, through emails that we've obtained, communicated with Dr. Fauci early on and said that this is obviously a lab leak. The genetic sequence appears to be man-made. 3 days later, Dr. Fauci has a conference call with these scientists who are his advisors on pandemic. And 2 days after that, they all sign on to a paper authored by Dr. Fauci saying that anyone who would suggest this is a lab leak is simply a conspiracy theorist. We want to know what happened over the course of 3 to 5 days to make those scientists have a 180 in their analysis of what was going on with COVID-19. And remember, these scientists rely on grant funding from Dr. Fauci and Dr. Collins, and several of them received grants after they signed on to this paper. So we just want to be transparent. These are U.S. tax dollars involved, so our committee is very interested in that, or at least the Republicans on the committee. We want these scientists to kind of explain these emails so we can have an understanding of what really went on in the early days of the pandemic.
Oh, I hope you have success. Keep us posted. I have no idea why an issue like that, 900,000 dead Americans and counting, why that wouldn't be a bipartisan issue. Congressman, just quickly, normally you join us either from your district, sometimes your home. I hope that's your office, but I don't think I've ever wanted to visit the office of a sitting member of Congress more than I want to visit yours. Looks like a good time in there with all that. I think probably Kentucky bourbon behind you there.
It's all Kentucky bourbon. I encourage everyone to travel the Bourbon Trail in my congressional district sometime.
I've done it.
It's a big deal.
All right. I've done it. It's a very good time from what I recall. Congressman, great to see you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.